Hi there. If you haven't been following the news, you may not know, but there are 5 people currently trapped in a submersible vehicle. They were on their way to survey the Titanic wreck. This is a company called OceanGate Inc. They're a non-profit foundation that go down, I want to say 3 times a year, but I may have that wrong. And they survey the wreck. They map, they document degradation because the bacteria at that level, or that depth, I should say, will eat through metal. So they go down and they document it. It's archaeology, it's historical referencing, and they do sell passenger seats. It's $250,000, which is just under £200,000 per seat. These people aren't just tourists. It's being commented on by people who run YouTube channels or are news commentators that it was a jolly. And yes, to a certain extent it was. They sold, I think it's 3 seats. These people also work on the mission. Selling passenger seats is a way of funding these expeditions, which, whether you like it or not, are part of how we learn about our history. It is the same as people paying to go on archaeological digs or to explore other places of historical significance. So they also work while they are there. They are paying to work on the mission. Yes, they get a once in a lifetime opportunity to see something that very few people have ever seen. Now, the people that are trapped, because this is a human level, Hamish Harding, who is a mission specialist, he's been described as a quintessential explorer. He has gone the depth of the Mariana Trench, and, he holds the record for the fastest circumnavigation of the globe. This is a guy that has gone out of his way in his 58 years to explore as much as possible. You have Shahzada Dawood. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. He's 48. He is a member of the board of the Prince's Trust. He is a UK-based billionaire, but regardless, by all reporting, he's a really nice guy, and he does a lot of non-profit work. Along with him is Sulaiman Dawood, who is his son, who is just 19. Stockton Rush, who is the CEO and founder of OceanGate Inc. Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and again, I'm sorry if I've butchered that name. He's known as Titanic's greatest explorer. He's the leading authority on the Titanic wreck. These are not just rich people. And this is what I want to talk about, is the fact that I have seen tweets, I have seen commentary that, these are rich people, who cares? They've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to go on this jolly, and it's ironic that they would get trapped down there and suffer the same fate as the Titanic. And I can't stay silent on it. It's very much a us versus them attitude. Because they are rich, we shouldn't care so much. And I find that absolutely abhorrent, because they're humans. The fact that they have money shouldn't come into whether they get rescued or not, or whether we have empathy for them or not. If this was your loved one, regardless of what their bank balance is, you wouldn't be saying the stuff that you're saying. And we should have true empathy. My thoughts on what people do with their amassed fortune doesn't come into this at all. These are 5 people that, if they're still with us, are trapped and know they're trapped. Their money doesn't protect them from the trauma that they are going through. Their money doesn't protect them from the fact that they are staring their fate in the eyes. That they know that the likelihood of rescue is very slim. If they are caught in the wreckage, despite the fact that they had an extra supply of oxygen, of air, that is due to run out today. They have been down there for 5 days. Just the 5 of them. No way of escaping mentally or physically, no way of bargaining or buying their way out of it, regardless of their amassed wealth. This, 19-year-old son, a father and son, a father knowing that he took his son on the trip of a lifetime to document an amazing historical site, may have taken his son to, or has taken his son to a place of real trauma. If they're rescued, no amount of money is going to take that trauma away. And, I find it absolutely frightening that people can make comments that are so heartless, so upsetting to family members. That was your dad. That was your son. If this was your uncle or friend, by all accounts, every single one of these people are good people. They give back. They give their time. They pay to go and survey a historical wreck to give that information to the rest of the world. Like, I don't understand how people can make jokes and put memes out there mocking them because they're rich. It doesn't matter what they have in their bank account. It really doesn't. They're going through something. If they are still with us, they are going through something that very few people can say they've experienced. If this was different situation, but someone trapped inside a building that had collapsed, you'd have empathy for that regardless of their bank account. So why not this? True empathy, true compassion comes from getting rid of our biases, our ideas of everything else, and looking at this as, how would I be feeling? The actual suffocation, the actual loss of breathable air will feel like going to sleep. The 5 days of being trapped, however, is a different matter. Claustrophobia, panic, hallucinations, cabin fever is real. The inability to control emotional responses, arguments, bargaining, the 5 stages of grief, all will be happening. And that to me is frightening. I have nothing but sympathy for these people, nothing but empathy and compassion for these people. They all have more money than I will ever see in my lifetime. But they're people, they're human beings. And I think we all need to take a step back from ourselves and our biases. True compassion in these situations if this was a plane wreck in the mountains that was a difficult rescue, or a missing person, you'd have empathy. And I think it's important that we all step back and kind of go, okay, well, what's the difference here? Is it purely the money? If, I have no compassion for someone who's rich, am I part of the problem that we have in society? And I think that is part of it. We have these preconceived notions of what it means to be rich. And just because you're rich doesn't mean that you're immune from mental health issues, from physical health issues, from getting into a situation that you can't get out of. And the mental trauma of facing your own impending death. I desperately hope that they can be rescued, but as of time of recording, it is 10 o'clock. They were estimated to run out of oxygen at around 12 o'clock today, based on how much additional oxygen was on board. I desperately hope they've found a way to elongate that so that rescue can happen. But since the latest reporting says they've not even been able to locate the submersible, let alone work out how they are trapped and how to get them out. And it really does affect me. And it really does make me consider my own mortality when something like this happens. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be empathetic towards other people. It's not a bad thing to have compassion regardless of their circumstances. If you can have compassion for, Johnny Depp in his trial, or, any number of other people, regardless of how much money he's got, you can have compassion for these people. You shouldn't pick and choose based on whether you like the person or not. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. It's a desperate situation, and it proves that we have a long way to go for all of our understanding of space and exploring. We still have a long way to go. This company, this non-profit, OceanGate Inc, will need to analyse how they're doing things. There were apparently safety concerns that were raised by people who were due to go on the mission or have been on other missions, about no outside access, about safety protocols and safety features in the design. The submersible is technically a prototype. It's never been tested and approved by governing bodies. So that is a big thing that OceanGate are going to have to look into, and they may well be in for a very long ride with litigation from the families of Hamish Harding, Shahzada Dawood, Sulaiman Dawood, Stockton Rush, and Paul-Henri Nargeolet. Because I'm sure, given the reporting, if the reporting is accurate, there was a lot that they knew could go wrong that they hadn't prepared for, especially a depth of 3,000 or 4,000 meters. So that's a whole other thing. But for now, my thoughts are with those 5 people and their families. I have just a very deep empathy, and I am hoping for good news. but I am very aware of the fact that they have less than 2 hours of oxygen left. Not to mention the fact that food supplies, water supplies, and other things will now be incredibly low. I desperately hope for a good outcome, because ultimately we should be thinking of these people and everyone else as fellow human beings. It's not us and them when it comes to money. It is not us and them when it comes to race, religion, sexual orientation. You know, all of these things are nothing when it comes to thinking about your fellow man, fellow human, fellow woman. It shouldn't be a consideration over whether you support someone or not, whether you feel for them or not. This us and them, this laughing at rich people currently trapped in a submarine, is a distressing sign of where we are as a species sometimes. And it's something that we need to be thinking about. We need to analyze our own bias, and why it would be different if this was your sister or brother, and why it's not different because you don't know them and you think that they're rich. We know from studies that the thing that most people cherish the most in life as they get towards the end of their life is relationships, is their connection to family, friends, co-workers, humanity. It isn't what was in their bank account. And that's what these people were doing. They wanted to have an impact, a positive impact on humanity and our understanding of the Titanic in history, our understanding of how the depths and the bacteria and life at that level can destroy metal. They're documenting it for history because eventually it's not going to be there anymore. And the idea that that work is nothing compared to laughing at them is really distressing. Anyway, that's my thought for today. And I encourage us all to examine our bias and put it to one side when we're talking about disasters, when we're talking about loss of life. Because without examining our biases, we won't ever fully know true compassion. And I think true compassion is our way forward as a species. Let me know your thoughts. I'm sorry it's a bit more of a serious topic today. Get involved in the comments. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on it? I am hoping to schedule a live over the next couple of days, and we'll explore this as well as other topics. Let me know if there's anything in particular you would like to talk to live. And get involved on the community tab. Go over to the community tab on my page and have a look at some of those. Vote in the polls and add your comments. I would really like to hear from you on a few of those. And I will speak to you very soon.